Much of the things Honorable Mola has covered me. We just wanted to raise that this belligerent of the witness before us cannot be tolerated. He's treating us with disdain. This attitude, which I've spoken about earlier, has to stop now, Chair. You know, I think it's high time that he respects this parliament. You know, for him, the only person who's right is only himself. Everyone is talking rubbish. Everyone is nonsense according to him. Hence, I said what I said earlier. When you deal with criminals, you must deal with criminals. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Paulo Sullivan.
Chairman, I must sit here and be called day in, day out, a criminal, a thug, a white supremacist, and I must just keep quiet about it. I'm just saying, I won't say she's watched too much TV. I will say, what you're saying is not true, it's fictitious. Thank you, Chairman.
So you are withdrawing the statement that
I withdraw the statement that the member watches too much TV, and I replace it with what you're saying is false and fictitious.
And you also apologize for having made that statement.
Of course, Chairman, I always apologize.
Okay. Can we proceed?
Chair, I'm going to conclude at that because I don't think it's even worth our time further probing Mr. O'Sullivan. I'm actually glad that it's come to an end. Again, I'm going to put it to you just today, because I actually thought today you'd come and you'd come clean and you'll just respond. You lied about the purpose of the prize several times. There was inconsistency. You lied about knowing the owner of the house. You lied about having interaction with Khan. You said you just met him once. Recently, have you been having meetings at the residence at the Moti offices with General Sibia and Mr. Moti?
No, I've never had.
In the last 2 months, you haven't met any one of them.
I've not had any meetings with General Sabia and Moti at Moti's offices. So that's also another fictitious statement.
You lied about not being obliged to Sira. You just lied the entire morning. Mr. Sullivan, I say this and I want to put it on record. Every organ, state organ, if anything, when we make our submissions and write recommendations at the end of this, should be barred from working with you. You have misrepresented yourself to this entire country, operating as an alleged forensic investigator. I leave it at that. Thank you.
Am I allowed to respond, Chairman?
You are allowed to comment on the statement.
Thank you. The Constitution of the Republic of South Africa would make the claim that you are now putting forward unconstitutional. And I deny categorically that everything you've said is true. I've done my best and gone out of my way to use my memory as best as I can and recollect events over many, many years. This letter that's been handed to me now, I've only seen it for the first time. I've never seen it before, and this 44-year-old letter. So at the end of the day, you know, I cannot say that I came here to overthrow the government. Clearly, my record, if you go on our website and you look at all the other work we do other than corrupt police officials, and you look at the work that we do there, at the moment I've got somebody that has a community property association where members of the community property association have stolen hundreds of millions of rand, and we've taken that case on voluntarily to help them get their money back. And those are not white people. They're poor people living in rural areas, Chairman. At the end of the day, I do the best I can. I'm not perfect. There's nobody perfect out there. And one thing I can say, with my head held high, I've done my best to try and make this country a better place for all citizens.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, honorable members. Can I check Mr. Paulo Sylvan?
Pardon?
Are you good?
I'm uncomfortable. I'm very much in pain, Chairman. But I'm listening.
Oh, okay. There are numerous witnesses who have come before this committee and have made statements or claims of your involvement or interference in the work or the operations of IPID and the SAPS. Is it your submission before this committee that all those statements or claims are inaccurate?
Chairman, I stand by the submission that I've made to the commission, to the committee, with all the evidence, and I believe that the evidence speaks for itself. Over 36 years, I have done my best to help in the fight against crime. And like any other situation, some of it might have been imperfect, but where I've made mistakes, I've tried to rectify them. I have in no way, shape, or form attempted to take over IPID or to take over the police or to overthrow the government or to possess or own any instrument of government. I've just done the best I can.
That's what I'm checking. Are you saying that the statements or the claims that have been made about your involvement,
Yeah.
your alleged involvement or alleged interference, are you saying that those statements are inaccurate?
100% inaccurate. And what they've done, Chairman, is part of a narrative to, in my opinion, this is my opinion, if I'm allowed an opinion, it's part of a narrative to distract the attention of this committee away from its real terms of reference, which is to get to the bottom of who is currently capturing the criminal justice system. And I can tell you for certain it's not Paul O'Sullivan.
Do you agree with me that with the answer that you have given, that these statements are inaccurate?
Correct, Chairman.
If the committee was to find that there is some veracity in one or two of the statements, you would have lied under oath before this committee.
Correct, Chairman.
Did you participate in the investigations of the late Police Commissioner Slevy?
That's correct, Chairman.
Did you investigate General Pathan?
That's correct, Chairman.
Who else in the SAPS senior ranks did you investigate outside of Slevy and Pathan?
So I can't remember all the names, Chairman, but there's quite a few. And this, when you've got a situation where there's corruption going on within the police, for example, there was a case last year, in fact, it's now the year before, in 2024, where a police official and a prosecutor were arrested for selling a docket. And we put that complaint together. And by the way, we didn't take it to IPID. We took it to the police, to the head office of the police. And the matter was investigated. And that colonel in the police and that prosecutor, senior state advocate, were arrested and charged, and they're currently on trial for corruption.
Yeah.
So that there were many
no,
cases like that.
It's fine. Is it still your submission before us that the investigations on slavery did not have anything to do with the frustrations that the Kuseleni contract had at the airport?
That's correct, Chairman. In fact, I opened the docket against Jackie Salebi for corruption whilst I was still working at AXA. And I took that docket to the Scorpions because Jackie Salebi was the chief of police. And the Scorpions said, there's insufficient evidence here. You'll have to find more evidence and come back to us. And a couple of years later, I went back.
Okay. And then the investigations on General Patlana, did they happen before you tried to coax him to investigate General Monroe, or did they happen after you have sent him the emails?
Before, Chairman. And if you have a look at the statements that are contained within the docket, you will see that I had already been at Sable Hills Estate and obtained evidence before that time. But unfortunately, ARPID was paralyzed for 10 months. So there was no investigation carried out by ARPID. So I carried out the investigation myself.
And these generals, you were investigating them privately?
Pardon me?
You were investigating them privately?
Yes, under the auspices of Forensics for Justice. You know, there's a number of organizations, for example, Outer.
No, it's fine. I get that it was a private investigation.
Correct.
So before you start the investigations, isn't it a requirement in South African law that you obtain a permission from the authorities to start investigations? If you do private investigation, or you can just wake up and say, Honorable Skosana, this is what I found about you, without him knowing that he's under investigation, if you do a private investigation.
So, Chairman, if we take the case of Forensics for Justice as an example, we have a hotline. It's 0800 118 118, and people phone in. And there's also a anonymous email service where people can send emails in. And we will get probably somewhere like 20 or 30 complaints a month. And some of those complaints are such a nature that we just send it directly to the police because we say it's not our focus.
In this case, you were investigating a police or
Correct.
A senior officer.
That, as I said, Chairman, that was based.
So I want. Do you seek approval, or do you just intrude into the privacy of the person, and then later come with evidence and say this is what we have against this?
Now, we open a docket, Chairman. So what happens is we assemble the evidence and we open a docket. And in the case of...
I want to know, how is that evidence assembled? Is that evidence assembled with approval, or you just investigate a person without him or her not being aware that is being investigated? Well, and then the next thing, you have gathered evidence, you go to open a docket. How do you do it? Do you first seek approval from the authorities?
No, you don't have to seek approval, Chairman. For example, would you expect an investigative journalist to phone up and say, listen, I want to investigate this?
No. Let's not talk about journalists. We talk about, remember here, and this is what honorable members have asked you since this morning. We are what we call a constitutional democracy, where the rights of the citizens are guaranteed in this constitution. How do you violate, or where do you get the right to flagrantly violate the rights, the privacy of a citizen without him or her being aware? You are not a state institution. You agree with me?
Chairman, it's not violating the privacy of a person to open a criminal docket against them.
No, wait, let's not go to criminal docket. We still talk about gathering evidence before a docket is opened. If you can share with us, how is that evidence gathered?
Okay. So if I take, and we use the example of General Nhlanhla, we got a tip-off. A whistleblower came to us. We interviewed that whistleblower. The whistleblower in question is a brigadier in the police, and he came to us with evidence. So we took a sworn statement from him, and we packaged all that evidence, and then we decide, okay, let's see if this is true. I then reach out. By the way, I reach out to other people that he says will have further evidence. And that's how you put your case together.
By the way, when you say you reach out, you do that without the subject of investigation knowing that he or she is being investigated by private citizens in the country. Is that what you are saying?
That's correct, Chairman.
And then when you have gathered that information, you go and open a docket.
That's correct, Chairman.
And then when you were doing that, you are not doing that as an institution of state. You only come into contact with state institutions when you open a docket.
That's correct, Chairman.
So the act of investigating a person surreptitiously by a private citizen, doesn't it amount to flagrant violation of the privacy of that person?
I disagree, Chairman. If that was the case.
Okay, let me put it this way. If there is an allegation against me now,
Yeah.
the police or through the prosecution, they will sit and evaluate the evidence that they have and then decide if there is a case that is prosecutable or not. And then from there, they can approach me. They are a state institution. We talk about you, who is a private citizen like me. Where do you get authority to move around gathering information about me when you are not an institution of state? You don't derive any authority from any law in this country, because if you have to do that, for instance, when you have to do a private prosecution, you can't wake up here and say, I'm doing a private prosecution. You must start by applying to a state institution for you to be given that approval to do a private prosecution. Am I correct?
There's a certain amount of investigation you can do to determine whether or not the allegations bear fruit. And if it appears that the allegations bear fruit, Chairman, a docket is put together, a draft docket is put together, and then it's opened, and then it's up to the police to continue the investigation, because we don't have the ability.
I don't disagree with you. You are right that you need to present a prima facie case.
Yes.
But how legal is the process of ensuring that you have that prima facie case?
It's allowed. And if it wasn't allowed, the crime levels in this country, Chairman, would be a lot higher than they are.
Okay. So you are submitting to us that whatever action that you would have taken in investigating the citizens of this country falls within the prism of the law.
That's correct, Chairman.
And you agree that if this committee was to find that you have flouted the law, you would have lied before this committee?
Well, I have to see what it is that they say, Chairman, but I don't agree that if the committee does that, I've agreed that I've lied.
No, I'm saying, you are telling us now that all the actions of investigating the citizens of this country Your actions fell within the ambience of the law.
Correct, Chairman.
And then I'm saying that